One was also struck that they're sitting there watching this parade, as you say, with no narrative whatsoever, while the narrative playing out in the Middle East is Israel and Iran going at it, and actual warfare going on while Trump is cosplaying being commander-in-chief.
Goes further than that. This war is taking place, and we are irrelevant to it. We were not even if Trump is rushing forward to kind of try to claim some kind of influence in this thing, he had no influence, and in fact it was basically against him. Basically, he got played. They used him. The Israelis appear to have used him as cover. He's carrying on a negotiation which was seeming to go nowhere, and the theory was that Israel would not attack until after that gambit was played out, and of course they did attack, shocking no one so much as Donald Trump.
Oh my goodness! So he's now, it feels like, trying to muscle himself into relevancy by claiming that he stopped them from assassinating Iran's leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini. Is that likely to be true, do we think?
No, I think it's completely not. And I think they will, if they can, they will assassinate him.
So what is Donald Trump now doing? He's gone to the G7. We're recording this on a Monday. It will air on a Tuesday. What are his advisors, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State's advisors, doing at this moment?
Well, let's use the word advisors loosely around Donald Trump, because A, he doesn't take advice, and B, the people who are there to theoretically offer advice are kind of dummies themselves. They have no advice really to offer.
And this would be his golf buddy who we talked about in the last podcast, Steve Witkoff, supposedly the special envoy to the Middle East.
Yes, I mean, I think there are other people hovering around there too, trying to get close. You know, they all kind of form a little scrum around Donald Trump, because proximity, literally, you can measure it in inches, is the currency there. But I think what the world is seeing, and you can see a transformation that has gone on here in the first early months of this new administration. The world seemed kind of stricken. What was he going to do? What moves was he going to make? What ways would he destabilize the world order? And I think now people are starting to say, well, he can't do it because he's not going to do anything because he knows nothing. I mean, it's very hard to make moves in a complex situation when you don't have the details, the facts. You don't really have command of what's going on the ground. And I think more and more this becomes the critique, a potent critique and an accurate critique of the Trump administration. They're completely incompetent. They just know nothing. They bring no facility to think things through, to make a plan, to have a strategy. So the tariffs, he can proclaim tariffs without evidently realizing that would have a profound effect on the world's economy, a negative effect, which would come back and bite him in the ass. So therefore, okay, yes, so take those tariffs today, no tariffs tomorrow. Now we're just dealing with the same thing on this order of this plan of mass deportations. He appears not to have been aware that this would overwhelmingly include people in the agricultural sector, in hotels and restaurants, all of which he need, are a substantial part of his of his coalition and a substantial part of the U.S. economy. And he figured this out apparently yesterday.
Rollins, the agriculture minister, is supposed to have called him and said, you need to stop the ICE raids on farms because 60% of labourers are not turning up. Fruit is going unpicked and rotting in the fields. And so he then announced that he was sort of putting a halt on farm workers, hotel workers and restaurant workers. And clearly, I'm sure some of his donors who own hotels and own restaurants were saying, what are you doing? And he must know too, as someone that's run construction, that's run restaurants and hotels, that immigrants make up a large part of the tax-paying workforce.
Well, he clearly did not know that, or he clearly did not think that through. So, which is even more disturbing. So, even stuff that he knows or should know, he doesn't appear to know.
It's as if he's making his sort of statements out here, and there's no connection to real life whatsoever. Again, which goes back to what you're always saying. He's playing a president on television. This is a television show with no actual consequences in real life.
And this is so it's very important and very interesting to get to that point where I think lots of people are starting to realize this. So fearful Donald Trump, this monster that we are all afraid of, is to mix a metaphor, paper tiger.
Right.
There is no follow through because there can't be a follow through if you don't have a plan other than the announcement of a plan.
Right.
You're kind of screwed. I mean, what are you going to do when the plan kicks in and it starts to backfire on you, which all of these things do. And by the way, that has also happened clearly in a full range of his foreign policy actions. Nothing happens.